keep remembering my family.
I'm gonna mention Tommy. Is there any others?
Unspoken.
All right.
Keep remembering my family too, with my father passing away.
Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the prayers that you, his surgery was successful and he's in recovery, so let's pray about that. Father God, we just thank you this day for, opportunity to come before you, our creator, we love you, Father, you just, you bless us so many ways. Thank you for a good meeting tonight, Lord. We pray against that weather that's coming in here, Lord. Keeping our students safe at home, God, just help us make decisions that truly reflect you and us, God. We thank you for it in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we got one item on the meeting tonight. It's the budget discussion. I think we got a couple of things here that you want to discuss, or you want to turn it over to Ms.
Well, let me
Lamar?
say a few things before we start. One is, that I think Mr. Manning asked for, do some numbers on one option, and we did. We had some, actually, I think, we had some, I wasn't in that particular meeting, but I think the mayor had led somebody to believe that he had 13 votes if we trimmed it 1.8. Now, I can't confirm that, I wasn't there, but I think that was said. We came back, we trimmed it 1.8, we've got two options at 1.8 million, to do. You know, I'm not in for trimming it none, I've said that, but if it'll get this thing passed for employees, I'm for it, okay? For the people. Whatever we can do to make it work, but it was asked to do it, there's two options and we can explain them in detail.
But I just have a question. I wasn't in that meeting either. Was anybody else here?
I was.
All right, so is that accurate?
He made the statement.
were
We
asked-
got it trimmed down $1.8 million off of our regional that he could get the votes for that.
Okay, and I'm gonna make this comment and then I'll hush, for this point in time. But that was what I had heard, and the director and Norma and I worked hard on this for 3 days to trim $1.8 million and still take care of our employees and things. So, you know, if that statement was made and it was accurate and we've trimmed $1.8 million, then I'm done. You know what I'm saying? If they said do it and we'll pass it, then that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the end. That's what I've got to say.
And I do want to say this again for the record. We're not asking for any money. Taking this off won't change our expenditures. It's smoke and mirrors. We're not going to change our expenditures. We're going to spend the same on our salaries and, because we're not asking for any money. And I don't foresee in the near future you're asking for any money, or if ever, but that can't be predicted. We may nobody be here for 2 or 3 years, but we're in great shape, record high fund balance. I think we'll continue to do that. Norma's aggressively pursuing grants. We think hopefully on this teaser thing, but you can't depend on that. That's we're not here to fund the county. Where it should be the other way around. So
actually, there's three choices. You can do nothing, you can pick scenario 1 or scenario 2 is what we worked out. So you actually have
basically three choices.
Three choices. And when you look at medical insurance, you gotta remember that in the beginning, I estimated $9,000 per non-certified employee. If you look at the top up there now, it says it's coming in at $79.50. So the board's cost for a full policy for a non-certified, policy is $79.50. So that's about $1,000 per person savings. And then to be transparent to the county commission, I had put all 12 months in the original budget because I wanted them to see exactly what it could cost.
Well, and Norma explained that you weren't trying to hide the money. That's the true cost because you don't know exactly when it's picked up.
Yeah, I didn't want to come back next year and then say, why is it much more more next year than it was this year. I was trying to use common sense. If we begin coverage in January, we'll have to pay the policy for 9 months. So the reduction that you see in medical insurance, the $519,000, is not doing away with it. It is cutting it back to the $79.50 and only counting 9 months.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Were you specifically asked about that line item?
I can't remember. I was asked so much.
I asked about that line.
Maybe,
No, I'm talking about when she presented it over there.
I don't think so, not in the, no, I don't think so. I don't believe they ever asked about that.
Okay.
Don't think so, yeah. So that is where, when you see medical insurance, the $519,000 is cut. So scenario one is doing away with the lots. $700,000 is being reduced, plus the other numbers that you see down through there. And I can read them all to you, but you can read just as well as I can.
Can I comment on your
Yes.
700,000?
Huh?
Just so everybody, and he and I worked on this a lot, but just so everybody else understands, because, I hadn't talked to all y'all. The $700,000 for the lights, I'm not against that, but after we talked, we could take that out of the budget. That's almost $1 million. And then if we're ahead of the budget in December or something other and we're saving money or whatever, then we go back and do a budget amendment and put it in there. But I mean, for the purposes of passing this budget, we were requested to reduce, and Joe, you're nodding, so you correct me if I say this wrong. We were requested to reduce $1.8 million. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we have done, but we could still do a budget amendment, because if I understood, and Mr. Bass, you correct me anytime too, sir, because you're here and you're always very attentive. I think in the last school board meeting we had, we were told that nobody ever got a budget amendment turned down. They passed them all. I think, and I'm paraphrasing Mr. Bass, but I think that's kind of how the conversation went. So taking the $700,000 out of there reduces almost $1 million out of the budget. But then, we can't predict what's going to happen in 6 months or 3 months or next week. I can't. I wish I could. But as the year rolls on and we're coming in under budget, which we typically always do, we can go back and do a budget amendment and put the lights in there. But for the purpose of passing it, because, again, and I'm being very specific because that's what my understanding is, was that it was $1.8 million to pass it. And the reason I keep saying that is because I am not at all ever going to vote to reduce the 10% pay raise, not by a penny. And I'm not going to vote to take this insurance out, because I'm not going to violate federal law. And if our budget gets turned down, I want to know who's violating federal law. Because we've got it in here to fund it. That's the federal law. I'm not taking accountability for that. So, sorry, but I'm just being very vocal about all this mess.
And some of these other items that you see in scenario one, I just went back to this year's expenses. And like they said at the steering committee, if we need more money in electricity, we can come back and ask for an amendment at that point, even though we were told there was no guarantee they would pass the amendment. That it was still up to that body at that time to decide whether or not they would, right, Joe? To decide whether or not that the amendment would be passed.
So
we
they
have to
turn
go
the lights
forward-
off?
We have to go forward in good faith that if we don't have enough money to pay the electricity bill, that they will pass that amendment, yes.
So they just turn the lights off then?
So
It'd be
that is
hard, it'd be
scenario
hard to turn the
one.
lights off, you sit on 12 or 15-minute fund balance.
That is scenario one.
Okay.
Just so you know all the facts.
I understand.
Scenario two is reducing the 10% raise to a 5% raise. And then also lowering the medical insurance, because we can this year. Don't know what next year will do, but this year we know we can. And then also that there was a position that was gonna be filled, that's no longer gonna be filled at alternative school.
Let's back up a minute. And you hit medical insurance again, and I'm sorry, but I'm really, really hung on that. And of course, our attorney over here, has been on school board before, and a lot of y'all have. That's the federal law, ladies and gentlemen, that we do that. That is why we have taken a fine every year and been written up by the comptroller's office, because we did not do it. But in the past, up until this year, we have not had the ability to fund this. And now we do. And it's the federal law. And I'm not gonna vote to violate it. It's just that simple. It's not complicated to me. Federal law says we will. So, and not just that, morally and ethically and us sitting on the money to do it, it is the right thing to do.
Well, keep in mind, Scotty, what she's talking about here is just the 3 months. And
I know,
Yeah, I'm just-
I know, but I'm talking about, I'm not voting to reduce that.
Yeah, and then next year, everybody's gotta remember, it won't be what she says it is this year, because it'll be 12 months next year, not 9 months.
Like
And that's
everybody's
the
been,
real
Crystal.
number, Tommy, she's put in there, plus you'll probably
Yeah.
increase it, we always
Plus
figure
you're probably
10.
at 5%.
It usually goes up to 7 to 11% too, roughly, so. That's
But-
one of the numbers there to show transparency of what it's really gonna cost.
But we had padded it enough initially so it would have an accurate reflection of the coming year, and we've been asked to reduce that, so we did, down to 9 months to make it more realistic. So next year shouldn't be sticker shock, because it'll be all year long.
This position at the alternative school, is it a position that we don't need anymore, or is this
Well,
position
not
we're
really.
just
It's a
cutting?
position, we've always left that, we've been blessed with money, we've always we always put that in there if we have like if we know we got a principal return at Christmas, we'll use that, we could use that for a training spot to help alternative see out administrative work. Or, we're not trying to push it back, not saying that Miss Livingston's not going anywhere 25 years from now, but we try to keep somebody kind of in there a training role if we can get them a recruit or have it available. But we can live without that to get this to pass, obviously, you know what I mean?
I don't want anybody to, if we
We're
needed
not
that
cutting-
position, I didn't
We're
want to
not
lose.
cutting anybody, let's say it that way. We're not cutting anybody's spot.
Okay,
Well, I'll tell you, I asked for scenario 2, but I didn't know if there was another scenario 1. I really like the scenario 1 idea myself, because you're not touching into it.
But let me clarify there too, and I don't want to put words, but my understanding is there's not a board member I've talked to that's been negative about the lights and the field money. So if we're where we think we are, and our management's like it's typically has been, we could still approach, come back and try to do an amendment, and still maybe have enough time at Christmas. If the plan is right, they might could still have time to get these lights and stuff installed. But it would still be reliant up on the county commission to pass your amendment. Now, you gotta understand that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I want to throw my 2 bits in on this.
Yes, sir. Okay.
The non-certified employees, you know, I feel like they're sort of our backbone of they're the grunts, that's called, them. They're the guys that's doing the work that somebody else don't want to do, janitors, assistants in the classrooms, cooks, you know. And I know we need a pay raise, but the higher ends, and I'm not trying to even say they don't need one. But if anybody needs one, I think we need to start at the volunteer and work our way up and help those employees. 'Cause I don't think we can do it without them. You know, I'm not concerned about them walking off the job or leaving us like that, but I think really we ought to consider them instead of other things like the lights. I mean, that's not what educating our children, in my opinion. Their classwork and keeping them fed and rooms clean and insurance for those non-certified, that'd be a big plus. I know, wouldn't it, Joe? I think it'd be a big plus, so that's just my 2 bits, what you say.
Any more discussion from anybody?
So does everybody understand this is a savings that I've cut back? This is what I would go in there and take that money off.
But
But-
it's not reducing what we're asking the county, because we're giving the minimum anyway.
this building insurance, what is that? Is that something,
We spent $135,000 this year on building insurance, building insurance, and I had upped it, $39,500 because of the ESSER buildings. And we may or may not get into those. And since we don't know at this time, that's a cut that I'm suggesting we make, and then if we do need it, again, we can ask for an amendment for it. So
Okay.
Our building insurance
So-
really went up during COVID.
So, yeah, so this 39,500 are for the ESSER buildings, and
What I had put- I don't
if we
know
get
what-
into them at some point this year, then we may need to
And
go
Save
back.
Lot building eventually. Eventually,
Okay.
that's gonna become a cost also. And I don't know what it's
Now-
gonna be, that was an estimate.
And that's kinda what she's done on utilities too,
Now-
it's skeleton it from last year.
Now, as far as like the Save-A-Lot building with the building insurance, would we still not need to insure that even though nobody's in it? I
We,
mean,
we do have an insurance, but she's talking about, as it gets upgraded, it will increase.
Yeah.
You know, as you get equipment
Okay.
stuff, yeah.
I just wanna make
We-
sure
yeah,
it's,
no, we got-
we're not leaving buildings
No, we
uninsured.
got insurance today.
Okay.
We closed on it.
Everybody understand all this? Now, how do you wanna vote on this? You wanna vote, scenario 1 and 2 as individually, yes or no?
3.
Or 3, none?
Change nothing.
Yeah, change nothing, leave it like it is.
I make a motion that we, use scenario 1 as our new budget.
We'll start with that one then.
I'll second that motion.
Second, any more discussion?
I'm just a little bit unclear how you explain that, this thing.
Okay, we're gonna vote on scenario 1 first.
Well, you've got a motion and a second.
Yeah.
And you got to open it up for discussion, and you would vote if it passed, or it could fail.
Then if it fails, I'll go to scenario 2. If I get a motion and a second, we'll vote on it. If I don't get a motion and a second, we won't vote on it.
So scenario one leaves the raises and insurance in place.
You want me to read it off so everybody understands?
Just, there's only three things that impact it, right?
Lights, would be taken out with the understanding that we're gonna, you know, we would discuss where we're at financially, ask for an amendment, put the lights back up after, toward Christmas. That hopefully would give the teams time to get,
So in scenario one, the 10% raise for all employees would stay, the medical insurance for non-certified employees would stay, the capital outlay for the wellness building would stay. The only thing we're taking away in scenario one is the lots.
Okay, which we could come back, if we're good with our budget, we could come back and ask for an amendment later.
But you're taking away the medical insurance.
No, no,
It's in the category here.
now, what she's saying, Marty, is that's based on a 12-month. We know that realistically, we'll only pay somewhere between 6 and 9 months because it won't pick up. But when you initiate it,
That's 3 months off, plus I overestimated each policy by $1,000. I didn't know what it was gonna
So the insurance stays, Marty.
yeah.
be. Insurance
on both
stays.
of them.
So essentially, scenario one, this is my last question on it, maybe, I don't know. Scenario one meets the 1.8 million that we were requested to cut.
Yes.
I'm done.
Okay, any more discussion?
So what hinges on this decision tonight? If we come to a conclusion and vote no on either scenario, what happens?
Did you submit it and say we're not
The way
changing it?
it was originally.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it just like it was.
And it will go back to county commissioners, and they're gonna have to vote on this, so they don't wanna change it, and if they vote not to do it, we'll probably go into using last year's budget.
We'll use last year's budget.
That'd be no raises, no insurance, and nothing for nobody. You go back to last year. Yeah, it goes straight to full commission now, right?
But if it fails, it would go back, it'll revert back to last year's budget, which would be no raises, no insurance, and all
So
that.
Commissioner, I asked, why did they call a special call budget meeting this Friday? So if whatever happens tonight, we'll present it at the next county commission, which will be August, July,
No, it's August.
August. Where are we?
Unless they call for a special call commission meeting, they won't vote, the full commission won't vote on this till August.
Okay, that's why.
And it's the first Monday night in August or second Monday, when are y'all meet? Second. And they'll vote, the full commission has to meet on it now.
Can I just ask Commissioner Bass, because he's here all the time, and I do appreciate that, and of course, you know, we respect you and your attendance and attention. Do you have any questions about what we're doing here with this $1.8 million cut?
No, I know what you're doing.
I'm not asking you how you're gonna vote, I'm just asking you, do you have any questions?
My concern is all, and what I talked to you commissioners, they had no concern over your, 10%, your insurance, even your spending on the light bills and all. The only thing you had troubles with is what's considered $2.7, $2.8 million of what might is just fluff money that's out there inside it somewhere that you didn't give account for as to what it was going to be spent for.
Yeah. I don't know, I think that's line itemed out through there, so I'm not gonna try to address that, but,
You've addressed the pay raise and the insurance was $5.1 million, if I'm not mistaken, 5 point something. Am I not right?
Yeah, 5.3, 5.4, I do that.
And then you had 1.2 in your lighting and your.
Out drive lake
Like
stuff.
that. So that's, 5, 6.8, 6.9. So you've added almost 8 million total to the thing, but the difference in that 8 million and 6.8, you know, what is it? Where's it going to? What is it? Bluff money is all we know of. Or all we know of.
So it's 1.2 million that you're asking for about?
Whatever the difference is between the pay raise.
1.2 million, what is that? What
Two
percentage
point
is that?
six, I think 10% is 2.6 million.
But when you overinflate your budget, like everybody does, every county fluffs their budget, everybody fluffs their budget, even the county fluffs their budget. It's just, that's where it's at.
Counties is fluffed based on, last 3 or 5 year
Yeah.
spending.
We might not have fluffed enough then.
What?
well, no, if we were,
Based on 35 years, we might not have fluffed.
yeah, no, if we were following a 5-year plan, then we ain't got enough fluff.
Well, unless I calculated it wrong, 1.2 million out of 40 million is 3%.
3%.
I sat over there to the finance man, actually, I spoke some to, we all did, but, you know, he said $1.8 million. And I didn't know if we could ever get to $1.8 million, but we have gotten to $1.8 million.
It was a long 3 days, I'll tell you that.
I hope we can work something out, we pass this and put the ball back in their court. We have done what the county mayor and them had asked us to do.
Yep.
And that goes back to them. If they don't pass it, all our employees can go see them.
Well, I agree with you 100% on that. I mean, we were asked, we produced, and sent it back because I can't say what was said that night, I wasn't there, but listening to y'all over there tonight, everybody was like, yeah, he said, they said, blah, blah. But then my other concern again, Tommy, and I'm just being cautious about this, if this budget does not pass and we revert to last year's budget, we are in violation of the federal law.
That's right.
And who is going to be, I'm not going to be accountable for that now, ladies and gentlemen.
Would it be the whole board of us, or would it be the both boards?
I mean, if we're, that's exactly what I'm asking. So if it reverts, it'd be the people that doesn't approve our budget. Yes, sir. It'd be my opinion, but I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, we're trying not to violate federal law. Exactly right. Yeah, that's a federal law, so that's the reason I'm not for moving an inch on that insurance. I'm not getting in trouble for that.
Anything else from anybody? We've got a motion second, we're gonna vote on this. We'll do a roll
Scenario
call.
one,
Scenario one.
Scenario one is what we're
if
voting
it
on.
fails, we're gonna go to scenario two, right?
If that's what you decide to,
Oh,
or
okay,
we'll just
okay, I got
forget
it.
it completely and vote to not do anything. Send it back to them as we have presented it originally. So we're gonna be voting on scenario one. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Apple?
No.
Mr. McCallum?
No.
Mr. Joe?
Yes. Yes.
Manny? Mr. Glover.
I'm gonna do what is in the best interest of our employees and our kids. And I'm gonna vote yes for this, but it is not right. And I'll say that, and I'll look at every one of the county commissioners and the mayor. What they're asking us to do is not right.
Mr. Lewis.
I'm gonna vote yes, for the purpose of, as Mr. Glover kind of stated, taking care of our children and our employees, because that's what we were asked to do, and we've accomplished that, and I'm gonna vote yes on that purpose so that we move forward to take care of them without this continuing on and on.
I vote no. We got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we got 5 yeses and 3 nos, and it passes. Do anybody got anything else they want to discuss?
I do.
All right.
And then I'm not gonna say anything else, I don't think. I don't, philosophically, I disagree with what we've just passed. Philosophically, because at the end of the day, we are under the 1981 Act, or we're merging into it, or whatever you want to call it, but it's still our money, or the board, the school system's money. We're only required by law to maintain a 3% fund balance. I think that is correct, and we are well beyond that. However, I voted yes for this to try to keep some kind of harmonious relationship going and show that we're trying to move forward and work through this and do what we were asked to review. So, I have non-certified employees that cry and tell me, I can't buy groceries because I don't have. So ethically and everything and legally, I feel like I have to be supportive of this for this insurance and them. That's sad. I watched my mama go through that after my daddy passed. That's a hard place to be. So I understand everybody's position on here. I don't have any disagreement with any way that anybody feels, but that's why I voted the way I voted.
Have a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask the attorney, so this
Yes.
gives me the right to change the budget according to scenario 1 and send it to the county? Okay, just making sure I have the right to
Mate.
send it on.
I would assume that Norma probably needs to let them know, or we do, even if she don't have the numbers that way, if they do have, I think they've got to find, I see somewhere they have a financial Friday morning, 6 or
It
7.
has to go before county commission this time, not.
Why are we,
It does, but I'm sure that they're gonna wanna know.
Yeah, they'd be good, I think it's good
I think it's the right
publicity
thing.
and good relations to let them know what, and then tell them it is an estimate, and then as soon as you can get the real numbers to them, you will,
So
but
do
that's.
I do that, and then you do that for you?
To let them know. Either one. I think it'd be completely appropriate for you to do that.
I'm sure the majority of them's watching anyway, but, but it's the right thing to do.
May I say something?
Yes, sir.
I just want to let it known that this vote tonight is a regression of where we should be. Feel like we're going backwards. These kids, they deserve to play under the lights, not because it's just lights and they want to play at night. It's because it gives more kids opportunity to play. These lights were, these kids right now, they don't even have time to play a full game before it gets dark.
Can't get a JV game in.
Can't get any JV games in, so we are hurting those kids by this vote. I don't like it. I don't like being forced to vote this way, and that's how I feel like I'm forced to do. Only because our employees need this money and this insurance that I voted this way. The rest of it, I could care less. But these kids deserve these lights, and I'm really heartbroken. And if those parents and those kids want to go talk to somebody, they need to go see the mayor and our county commissioners. That's all I got to say.
Have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?